What's up, guys? This is Bull by the Fell-Handed. Before we get started, just a reminder, I need questions for the Q&A. Comment below, send them to Bull by the Fell-Handed on Facebook or my Xbox account. Moving on, we're going to have a little bat chattery today on Highway Standard Battle. The Greens have taken the southwestern spot and the Reds the northeastern. This is a very unique gameplay. I don't think I've ever had anything quite like this before. I do okay as far as damage. I don't really, do anything super awesome. But the thing that's awesome comes about halfway through the replay. You will know it when it happens. Now, for now, we are going mid here. We're going to have a kind of a good presence mid, and the reason is I want to catch them as they cross over, as they push their right flank, and perhaps I can get some shots on them. More importantly, my allies can get some shots on them. Somehow this poor D-Star got lit up early on in the match, and you know that he's in trouble. We're making some just super long-range shots here, and we seem to be doing pretty well with them. You'll notice that I was kind of going for the mid of the vehicle versus hitting him in the tracks, and the reason for that is I wasn't really certain I could connect with his tracks at that level, let alone hit the side of the tank there. Not at that level, at that range, excuse me. You know what I mean. At any rate, we went ahead and fired a few rounds there. We're going to go ahead and pull a reload and then move around a little bit, just kind of see what's going on. And guys, while you're reloading, just keep in mind you can still be useful to the team. You can spot things, you can light things up, you can do things of that nature. So you're still a valuable resource even if you are reloading. So right now we've got Clicker lit up on their team, kind of really just threading the needle there. I don't really know where that shot was going, but you know what? We ended up connecting with the second shot. That's why Sixth Sense is very important for an RT player. I'm sure Spartan will tell you the same thing. We have a minuscule presence on this flank here. Not really a whole lot. Shooting so far away. Managed to pull 3 good pins there. One was blind fire. Of course, it wasn't that blind fire. We had a pretty good idea where he's at to begin with. And now we're on another reload. So we've, so far we've had really good shot management. Now, the reason that's important is because later on we're going to have issues with our ammunition. You will see that very shortly. So, as you can see, we control, a good portion of the map. As a team, we are very well spread out. Control, I guess, was a subjective word because, yes, we are in the city. Do we control it? No. So, presence, I guess, should have been a better word, a more suited word for that particular application, because we do not really necessarily control anything. That being said, we are making good inroads into the Reds cap, and that's always, a positive thing, because, a lot of tank destroyers, a lot of guys just like to go up there and set right outside the cap, and that way, even if they move over some, the Reds I'm speaking of, say to E8, they can get shots mid, they can get shots, in the B2 area where, our team likes to kind of start out their push on the Reds cap there, and they can even support the, some areas of the city as well. So that's kind of who I was keeping an eye out for. We've got IS-7 here kind of taken off. I've got good shots there right underneath that armor there. If you watch any of my other videos, you'll see I mentioned that. I'm not having a lot of success here. It's making me kind of angry. I'm bouncing. I'm not hitting where I want to. Didn't really get a lot, of penetrations from that clip. And it happens. Sometimes, guys, you're going to go out there, you're going to fire, you can do everything right, and just nothing is going to happen for you as far as your clip goes, And that's just how it goes sometimes. Sometimes, should I have moved up more before I took shots? Yes. In the past, though, I've made things happen. 2 IS-7s from that distance, so what are you going to do? If I was loaded right now, I could track this gentleman and put some heat on him, but I'm going to be loaded soon enough. So we did manage to get the track there. I mean, RNG, man, what are you going to do? I said, you know what, let me go ahead, reload, go to sleep, start my day all over again. You have an E1... E100 there looking at me, and I am keeping the buildings in between them and my little old self. You know, that's just good tanking, guys. You know, you never want to take shots unless you absolutely have to. If you look at the team, things have really turned around for us. We are getting annihilated. We lost our units in the city, and, you know, we're down here to one guy and myself as far as their cap goes. So we're really going to have to make some things happen here. I tried to kind of sneak one there into his lower plate. Didn't really happen. Managed to get one there. Kind of pulled back while I'm reloading. Using this hill here as cover. I want to start going because I feel the E100 is going to start putting some heat on me. So I want to get a little bit more cover here as far as the hills go, because I was a little concerned that he would just push up and then, you know, I would no longer be held down. He'd have excellent shots at me. So, like I said, guys, you never want to give anybody, you know, free shots at you. You want to make them work for every single thing, especially when you're in a medium tank. If you're in a heavy tank, well, it's not necessarily about evading. It comes down to angling. We put a round there in his track, still trying to do too much work from long distance, and RNG has just turned its back on me. RNG has forsaken me. You know, we're not making a lot happen, and we're on a reload. We don't have a lot of shells left. There is a number of enemies left on the board, and it's not looking good, guys. It's not looking good at all. There's two arties, this tank destroyer and myself, and we are trying, the Hearst there and myself are trying to kind of work off of each other. I'm spotting the things, he is lathering up, and that's kind of our relationship right now. Little known fact, I actually played some games after this one with this gentleman in the Hearst. Really good guy. So we're putting some rounds here, guys, and it's just nothing is happening for me. No matter who I aim at, no matter what I do, nothing is happening. My buddy there gets destroyed, and I'm like, wow. You know, I've had so many clips here, so many rounds just not do what they're supposed to do. RNG has forsaken me. We are going to use the Boots of Expeditious Retreat, get the fudge out of here while we are on a reload. I have no intention of being rolled by an E100, let alone anything else. It's the end of the game and I'm full health. That says something, I just don't know what it says about me. I'm going to try to flex this E100 shot, and I managed to do it. I'm still taking some rounds. I'm just getting out of dodge here. I'm getting out of dodge. I only have a couple of rounds. I really need to make sure, you know, I connect. I'm definitely, the evade game is on point. Evade game is being so deluxe right now, and it will have to be. Now, guys, this is the good part. This is the part that hasn't happened to me at all in my WOT career. I run around for 7 minutes and 5 seconds for the rest of the game and do not get killed somehow. I don't know how I do it. I just kind of finesse, I guess. That's finessery. That's all it is. That's all there is to it. Granted, as far as damage goes, you know, I've got a couple of rounds. You know, I've got 5 rounds. Don't expect miracles. It's just not going to happen. This isn't the E100 that has, you know, 50 rounds that does 750 apiece. I don't have that. So don't be expecting miracles. You know, with an E100, you know, something like that with crazy amount of rounds, crazy amount of alpha, yeah, you can carry. You can put in some work. Unless, of course, for some reason you decide to load, like, you know, 40 heat or high X. But in this case, you know, 390 alpha, it's not going to happen. Now, I'm not going to let him take my cap. It's not going to happen. You know, I'm going to fight it. Granted, of course, they're just touching the cap. They're just kind of testing me. They want to kill me. They want to get this kill. And, you know, as you can see, most of them are in a platoon. So they're talking to each other. Like, okay, you go this way. He's probably over here. I get 6 cents right away. There's a guy behind me, and I just clutch shot, and then boom, go back to the garage. So RNG giveth, and RNG taketh, and that was one of those situations. You know, the Bat Chat is not a clutch shotting machine, but it was one of those situations where I got lucky. That's all it is. That's all it boils down to, is, you know, luck. I just happened to get lucky. RNG just happened to go my way. But you know what? I had loads of rounds left in that mag, so it would have happened at some point eventually. Now, moving on. I said, you know what? Let's go over here. Let's get rid of the clicker. He's going to take a shot at me. I'm just moving just a little bit to kind of give him a hard time. I think he hit right where I was. The thing that really got me is the first round I fired just sailed right over top of his head. And you know these guys are in the middle of the board or near our cap, and they're like, oh my god, he's back in our spawn, we need to do something. And I'm just, man, I am running around with a chicken, like a chicken with his head cut off. I light up a guy in the middle. I'm not really confident. I'm thinking to myself, I don't really need to stop to where I can even get a shot. I want to stay out of 445 meters. I want to get to where, I can detect him, he can't detect me. So, I need to be maybe somewhere in the 410 range. Actually, it could probably, if I don't fire, it would be considerably closer than that, like maybe 360, 375, depending on how he has his tank set up. I haven't actually, went to World of Tanks, Watt Info, and ran the numbers, but you kind of get the idea. I'm going to pull up, put a good clutch shot in there, damage his engine, and that's the last round. He fires at me, misses, and then, or somebody fired at me and missed, and then that gentleman fired at me and connected. So now they have a perfectly straight shot at me. I take another round, and I'm like, I have got to get off this road or I'm not going to survive. So I peel off to the right here. And, I know there's a couple down there. So I need to mainly, keep cover in between them and me. They fire another round at me and missed. I'm just running like crazy. In my head the entire time I am working out their lines of fire, to where I can kind of have an idea where they're going to be at and where, I need to be at to avoid said line of fire. And that's pretty much what we're doing. It's essentially, one big 7 minute 5 second long evade game. That's exactly what this is. And this really pushes the evade to the next level when you don't have to evade just a couple of guys but half a team. And I think I make it work out. Granted, of course, you couldn't necessarily do this on, say, for example, cliffs or mines, a small map like that. I mean, you could, but not for any amount of time. You're not going to dodge half a team like that. They are on the cap. They said, you know what, we need to get in here and we need to cap before we end up losing the game. And that's the thing, it tells you exactly how many people are on the cap. So at this point, when it's just me versus the world, it's valuable information. It tells me a lot of things. It says, hey, there's one guy on the cap. That means there's 4 out here looking for me. I know the speed of some of these tanks. I know what tanks they're in, so I know about how fast they are. So guys, you have to use this information to kind of better yourself and make yourself, I guess, understand the battlefield, the game more. That way you'll kind of know what to expect. In other words, it's not exactly like chess. You don't have to say, okay, well, the guy's going to come here looking for me or whatever. But, you take the speed, E3, slow, tier 9 waffle, kind of fast, what have you. So you just take those into account, and then you can kind of base your judgments off that on where to go. Now, granted, of course, this isn't the firefight situation. That's kind of like, hey, let's block LOS. But in this case, you kind of have to know about how fast they go in order, where to go. And yeah, we got defeated. There was literally nothing I could have done because I had no rounds, obviously. Even ramming, but I didn't really want to sacrifice my tank to do that. So we had an okay game. It wasn't actually fantastic. Guys, I hope you enjoyed. Please remember to like, subscribe, and share. We will see you guys next time. Check the description below, as well as Boulevard the Fellhanded on Facebook for any interesting stuff. We'll see you guys next time.